All right, how's it going? What I've got in front of me are some of the best, fastest, and lightest alcohol spirit burners that exists anywhere out there in the world. The reason I went down the rabbit hole and kind of gathered up all this stuff is because I'm planning a trip to Iceland. Iceland is a car camping trip. You fly into Reykjavik and you get the Renault Dacia Duster 4x4 wagon from Blue Car Iceland, the rental car company, and then you drive around the country staying at different campsites. The campsites cost about 15 bucks a night, and the cheaper way to eat your food would be to cook it yourself. You go to the market, you get some food, bring it to the campsite, and cook it at the campsite. They do allow charcoal, but charcoal is a little bit too time consuming and messy for me to be barbecuing, so I'm going to be using an alcohol spirit burner. And I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole and collected a bunch of different spirit burners here to try to figure out exactly how I'm going to do that. And I've got some of the best alcohol stoves out there I've got in front of me right now. Basically, I've got the Neotrekk Fasst stove. These are specially researched pumice bricks that absorb alcohol. And when you light them on fire, basically the alcohol inside the brick starts to boil and the vape starts to come out of the brick. And it's perfect. This is absolutely the best pumice that you could possibly choose for your alcohol spirit burner. And so I've got this here. And then to go up against it, I've got the Kojin stove. Now, the Kojin stove is rumored to be the best alcohol spirit burner. A lot of people claim it's the best. I would say, yeah, it is doing a pretty good job in competition with the Neotrekk Fasst stove. And I'm gonna explain that right now. Right off the bat, dry out of the package, the Kojin stove. Dry out of the package, the Kojin stove is weighing 0.5 ounces, okay? And dry out of the package, the Neotrekk Fasst bricks are weighing in at 0.75 ounces. So the two bricks together are 1.5 ounces, and the Kojin is only 0.5 ounces. So there's no way of getting around that. The weight simply is better on the Kojin stove. Now, the Kojin stove also does something else a little bit better than the bricks, is that it comes with this metal tin with the screw lid. So you can actually pour your fuel in here, okay? And then just put the lid on there and then carry it, with the fuel in it. Now, that might seem elementary, but in reality, that's something that doesn't work as well with the bricks. And I also got the titanium Firemaple Lotus stove for my solid fuel cubes. I've got here the Flat Cat Gear Everything stove, which I think is one of the better stoves that I got a hold of. I was really impressed by this. I got a hold of a Fancy Feast alcohol stove off of Etsy, and again, I was really impressed with this stove as well. I got a hold of the White Box alcohol burning stove off of eBay. This one was called the Go Bag stove. And I've got here an Esbit version of the Trangia stove. I've got some other solutions as well. I like to use, this is the Stanko grease pot, and this grill on top. This is how, this is the strainer for the grease. You pour your bacon and whatnot on here and the grease goes through into the pot. This works really well as a grill. If you have a little campfire, you can just stick this up against the campfire and put a hamburger patty right here, and it'll cook the hamburger patty on top of this grill right here. This 4-inch Tokes frying pan. With this one, it's kind of a Dutch oven. You can put a chicken patty or a piece of fish right here, cover it with water, put the lid on, okay, just like that, and then put some dry moss on top of here and light a twiggy fire on top of here. The water will prevent the food that's in here from burning, and the fire, if you keep the fire going for 10-15 minutes, whatever meat is in here will be cooked, okay? And then you just kind of dump the water out, and you've got a cooked piece of meat in here. It's basically a Dutch oven. So I've tried a lot of different solutions to get this all to happen. As far as the Firemaple Lotus stove working, I think it does work. It's only like 2.5 ounces, it's titanium. It cools off super quick so you can grab it without burning your hand, which I found is important, obviously. And as far as it fitting the Kojin stove and the Neotrekk Fasst stoves, it does. It fits 2 of the Neotrekk Fasst bricks, just like this, okay? And, even with, and I can actually just take the Snow Peak and just put it right on top of there, okay? So that does work. I can put 1 brick in there and fold the sides down put one brick in, close this up, okay? And then put, and then put my little cup on top of there. Okay, that's gonna work as well. With the Kojin stove, same thing. Can put it into the Lotus like that, close it up like this, okay? And put the cup on there, just like that. All right, so that room I was using is kind of popular, so I had to move outside. But what I've got here is I've got the Firebox stove. I'm pretty certain that I'm gonna be bringing this stove with me to Iceland. You might be asking, like, why would I bring this? Like, what's so special about this? It's the size. If you take a look at the Trangia Storm Cooker, the Storm Cooker is 8 inches wide. And this one is only 4 inches wide, and it does the same thing. I can put my alcohol burner in here, and then the Firebox stove, it contains all the heat inside of here, just like the Trangia Storm Cooker. And then I can just put, my pan on top. Now to put it into perspective, this frying pan is 8 inches wide, and that's the width of the Trangia Storm Cooker. The Firebox Scout, to be honest with you, I don't think it takes up a lot of space. You can put your stuff in here, obviously. Firebox sells a titanium version of the same stove that folds flat called the Freestyle, but this one only costs about 25 bucks and the Freestyle costs 150 bucks. So there's a huge difference in price if I wanted to get the same thing from Firebox, but a better one, a lighter one. I'm not gonna be carrying this in my pack. I'm gonna be driving, so this will be in my car. It won't be difficult to carry this around in the car, and I can always use it as a cube. I can put stuff in here in order to save space in my pack. All right, now getting on to the Kojin stove versus the Neotrekk Fasst stove. I came across a bunch of issues trying to take advantage of the Neotrekk Fasst stove. First of all, it's more expensive. It's 50 bucks for this, plus a little bag to soak it in. You need to soak these bricks in alcohol, so it comes with a little bag to put these in. And it comes with a little metal solid fuel state stove to cook these in as well. The Kojin stove is only 10 bucks. So it's 10 bucks versus 50 bucks. You don't need a stove. You can actually just place it on a rock and then put your pot on top of it and light it like that. Okay, so it works as a standalone piece of kit, and the Kojin doesn't. So that would be one advantage of this. It is 0.25 ounces heavier, but you don't need to bring a stove. So you're reducing some weight by not bringing the stove. Now, I did end up running into a lot of issues with it though. So right off the bat, when I started to try to put this kit together, I went onto Etsy and I bought a plastic jar. The Snow Peak 300 milliliter cup, which I bought, it's expensive. It's only 1.5 ounces, which makes it the lightest mug pot out there to boil water with. But it's so small, it doesn't really fit on any of the stoves that I bought. And when I bought this jar to put the Fasst stove in it, this jar was described as 2.8 inches by 2.8 inches, and the Snow Peak 300 milliliter is 3 inches by 3 inches. So the idea was that this jar would nest inside of the Snow Peak, and it doesn't. They're both exactly 3 inches by 3 inches, and they don't nest inside of each other. Also, the Fasst stove should have fit in here because they're shorter than 2.8 inches. But I found that they just barely fit in the jar, and I have to tilt them at an angle in order to get the lid on. I'm also seeing that the Fasst stoves are getting cracked, and that's because of the wear and tear of putting them in this jar. When I put the lid on the jar, it puts pressure on the bricks, and it puts cracks in the bricks. Now you can see that they fit in here, which is nice, but if you put your fuel into the jar first and then put the bricks in, the fuel will spill out over the top. So you've got to put the bricks in first and then the fuel, put the lid on, and then 10 minutes later, your fuel will be half empty because the bricks absorbed a ton of the fuel, at which point you need to put more fuel in on top. So the idea that you're able to bring these bricks without bringing fuel, like trying to save weight by not bringing fuel, that isn't necessarily the case. You've got to prepare this thing in advance, pour the fuel in here, get it soaked, pour some more fuel in, put the lid on, and then start carrying it. This jar is off of Etsy. It's not intended to carry fuel, so it might leak. It's just a plastic jar. Also, the bricks themselves leak. So, there's nothing holding the alcohol into these bricks. With the Kojin stove, you've got this metal tin which holds the alcohol in. The bricks are not like that. The alcohol can drain with gravity down and out, or the alcohol can just evaporate and come out of the bricks just because the bricks are drying out. Just like a t-shirt, if you put out a wet t-shirt, eventually it'll get dry. If you put out these bricks, they'll get dry as well, just like a t-shirt. When you light the bricks on fire, the alcohol has a tendency to migrate up into the bricks, so the bottom brick will no longer have any alcohol in it, and only the top brick will be burning. And then if you blow the fire out and if you let the bricks sit, gravity will cause the alcohol to drain down, and only the bottom brick will have alcohol in it, and the top brick won't. If for some reason you only have enough alcohol to fill the bottom of the jar and you put the bricks in there, the bottom half of the bricks will have alcohol in it and the top of the bricks won't. So yeah, I would say overall, the Kojin is obviously the better deal. And as far as using it in the field, it's pretty discreet. If I just put it in here, okay? If I put it inside of the Firemaple Lotus titanium stove and close it up like this, okay? Now all of a sudden, you know, that's a really discreet fire source that a lot of people, they're not going to notice it. I don't think I'm going to get into any trouble cooking my food like this. If I put it inside of the firebox, okay, now I've got the Lotus stove sticking up just a bit higher than the firebox, and yeah, it fits on there perfect. So now I've got a ton of airflow going in there from the top, from underneath, and yeah, it's gonna work out perfect just like that. So yeah, I think that's the one. Now as far as the bricks fit in here as also, just like this, okay? And now I've got the bricks in there also, just like that. All right, with plenty of airflow going in, should be fine. What happened to him? Ooh.